Hi, I'm Mark James. I've been in ITSM, ITIL and SIAM circles for well over 25 years now. Welcome to my channel, please subscribe, hit the bell. So let's get straight to it. This video is about the service value stream and a mapping activity within the service value chain. And this is all about a new service. This example we're going to run through is a real world example of where I've been working for a particular organisation and someone within the business has asked me to start to investigate around the potential for a new service. So I hope this will help build your knowledge in terms of the service value chain and value stream mapping in particular. So at the bottom of the screen you'll see an arrow and the various service value chain activities, and I'm going to talk through each one of those in a bit more detail. And as I say, this is a real world example of a business request for a new offering. I was a service delivery manager, business relationship manager type person, and this kind of talks through that various steps and activities and thought process behind all of this. So first off, from the value stream, there was the demand, there was an opportunity, and that request for a new service came from the marketing director. Now he had identified a need for an additional business offering, something else that wasn't currently being provided, and it would also provide some value add to some of the existing products that were already in place. It revolved around producing a new web portal, a new website, and the business case was about bringing more business in. So the demand element is there in the activity. That was the demand. I was in a business relationship management type role, so I was that interface. So the next step in the journey of this value chain was the engage phase. So the market director, read that as marketing director, and the service delivery manager, which was myself, we met, we discussed the new idea of this web portal, and it was high level, it was kind of in principle type conversations, and I agreed to take that away and look at that further in terms of capability, capacity, feasibility, some kind of indicative costs, some ideas around risks, what the value and the outcomes might be. So it's quite high level at this stage, but that engagement piece from a service value chain was there, and the practice would be relationship management. So as that progressed, we moved on to the plan stage. So there was ongoing feasibility discussions, rough order of magnitude, costs and risks. There were further discussions around approaches. How could we do it? Is it internal resource? Is it external resource? Do we need service providers? What kind of approach would work well for this particular piece of activity? An agile approach or perhaps a waterfall approach? Also discussions around priority. Where does this fit in the overall plan of things? How does that work in terms of resource and availability? The practices there in the service value chain in that plan stage was portfolio management and architectural management. So then as we progressed further on, there were presentations around the costs and the risks of different types of approaches. So we looked at a big bang approach, we looked at a more staged and phased approach, we looked at timings, and then also an element of where does this sit in the overall priority, so the wider roadmap of what the business was trying to do. This clearly input into portfolio management, and those practices at this plan stage were around financial management and risk management predominantly. So as we continued on in this conversation, we got to the final outcomes, what the expectations were, what the budgets involved, whose budget was it coming out of? Was it coming out of marketing budget? Was it coming out of the IT budget? Some of those risks, how could we mitigate some of those risks? And we had a risk register as to how we could capture all of those. And then some indicative timings and what that value to the business would look like. It also got to a go, no-go stage where a number of stakeholders met and we discussed it in terms of, are we going to do this, yes or no? Thankfully, the answer was yes, so it was a go meeting rather than a no-go meeting. And that practice at the engage activity was the relationship management piece. Then as we continued on the journey and mapping this journey out, we got to the plan stage again, and so it kind of went back to plan, and there was discussions around documentation. We added the new service to the service portfolio, and the practice there, as you might imagine, was portfolio management. Then we progressed to the plan, design and transition activity. So this is where the project manager and the development manager started to work together, putting some basic high-level planning, indicative who, how long, what requirement type conversations, and looked at the people and the teams that would be involved in this activity. And as it happened, there were some service providers, there were some external service providers. So it was a mixture of internal teams, internal subject matter experts, and also some external service providers. So we started to get to that point where the work was engaged with the various parties, work was assigned to them. So that, from a practice perspective, meant portfolio management, project management, and also service design. Then engage phase again. So we had lots of discussions and further information was discussed around the detailed requirements. Those were acquired from the business analysts, from the development team, but also from the marketing managers at the time. Quite a bit of discussion around fit for purpose, fit for use, utility, warranty, getting ready for that release number 1. And the practices in that engaged stage were relationship management, project management, and business analysis. So then as we started to get to the obtain and build activity, it was an agile approach. The software development team built a backlog. There was an activity around how do we get a minimal viable product available. So what that really meant was, what can we develop? What can the dev team develop that is just enough so the marketing team could take a look-see and start to test and provide that feedback, part of that UAT activity, just sort of user acceptance testing. It was very low level kind of, well, this is what we've got. There was lots of feedback. There were lots of, can we change this? Can we change that? But it was a feedback activity. And the practices there, as you might imagine, was software development and management, project management, and service design. Then the next activity, obtain, build, design, transition, but also improve. So first iteration of the new website, so the new service, the new IT service, lots of feedback received and acknowledged, backlog reprioritised, those practices, software development and management, project management and service design again. So then back to the obtain, build, design and transition activity, looking at final warranty information, getting that agreed. That did take some time. There was quite a lot of toing and froing around how to monitor it, who to monitor it, what's being measured, what does good look like, what do we not need to respond to or report on, what do we need to report on. So lots of activities around the run books, support, operational, production acceptance documents, pads, backups, batches. There were a number of overnight batches and interfaces that were exporting information from the website to other systems, financial systems and other sales and marketing systems. Lots of discussions and activities around there and making sure that we knew what needed to be recorded. So those practices, service level management, availability management, capacity and performance, information security management, continuity management, measurement, reporting, and the incident management piece. So then, looking at the obtain, build, design and transition, we had training activities. There were online training activities. There were classroom-based training activities as well. Lots of documentation, lots of handover to IT ops, information around break fix, support, external service providers, run. Those practices that we came across in this value stream example were software development and management, service desk function, and the incident management. Then obtain, build, design, transition, improve. So there were more releases, there were more enhancements. To be fair, there were small incremental updates, enhancements, small configurations. So nothing significant, although it did start to touch on the change management activities, and I'll mention that few sentences down around the practices. But there were small incremental changes to that service, nothing significant. Practices that were dealt with were software development and management, project management, design, organisational change management, OCM, and the change management element. So there were changes, both from a technical perspective, change management, change enablement. There was also organisational change management. What that meant really in practice was that some of those practices, those standard operating practices and procedures that people out in the business were operating to, they actually changed. Some of those changed as a result of this new service. So there was a cultural change as well as to how to operate. And then finally, deployment and release management. There was a big collaboration piece that operated during this stage, both in terms of getting feedback from the actual customer, but also in terms of the internal business. So there was plenty of collaboration between the software developers, the internal business. So at the time it was the sales and marketing manager, sales and marketing director, but also the end customer as well. And then value. So this is what we're trying to get to. With the service value chain, you have the demand, the opportunity at one end, and you work towards delivering that value to stakeholders. So you go through the plan, the improve, the engage, the design and transition, the obtain, build, the deliver and support, and it's about getting to that product and service which results in value. So at this value stage, we looked at checks and balances. Did it do what we said it would do? Did it deliver value? Was it effective? Was it efficient, as we originally thought? And then there was an agreement between marketing and IT at the time as to, okay, so what does good look like going forward in terms of measurement? How do we report on this? What's the end result? And that was very much value driven. So what was the value that had been delivered? And the practices there: project management, relationship management, service level management. Engage, deliver, support, improve activity. So at this stage it was BAU, it was business as usual. There was a level of early life support. We were in the incidents, event management, change enablement, change management, service requests, problem management, which was not only reactive but was proactive as well. So what are the items that we can see further ahead? What can we do to make sure that doesn't occur? What can we be doing proactively? And then the practices: incident management, problem management, continual improvement management, the CI activity. And then finally, at the end of this value chain activity and this value stream, we agreed and established a monthly service review with the marketing department. We had a standard agenda, we had minutes, we had agreed metrics, a reporting framework, service level agreements, operational level agreements in place, and then also improvement opportunities. So as you might imagine, the practices there were around relationship management and service level management. So that's the end of this overview. I hope you found this value stream example helpful. It is based on a real world situation that I was in, and I hope this will help build your knowledge and understanding, not only in terms of ITIL, but service value chains, value stream mapping, and hopefully that will build a better and well understood picture for you. Please subscribe to my channel. I'll continue to provide information around ITIL, around service integration and management, and ITSM generally. Thank you.